Welcome back. In the previous session, we spoke about the electric infrastructure of cities as if it was simply a problem of how you move electrical charges along in wires. This is, of course, important because we power an awful lot of things by those wires in our homes, in our workplaces, and in public environments. But many of those electrical charges move things that are even more critical, their information. And much of the information moves across space without the benefit of wires. Our media networks, our social media, the things we use our cell phones for, our computers, and all kinds of devices now are not connected to electrical wires. So how should we think about this world of electronic networks when we're designing cities?
The ideal goes by several names, including intelligent cities, smart cities, techno cities, and digital cities. While there are subtle differences between them, they all mean roughly the same. I prefer the term intelligent cities. The intelligence of cities resides in a combination of systems in the environment and in human intelligence. And there are two types of intelligence. One is top-down intelligence, where systems are created to control cities centrally or to respond to collective needs like energy. Most of what people have put in place falls into this category: energy management systems, traffic control systems, incident management systems, and so on. But there's also bottom-up intelligence that begins with the crowd seeking directly the kind of environment that they wish and pressing the environment to change accordingly. We'll look at both types of intelligence in this brief session. This image epitomizes top-down intelligence. After a number of serious floods that took many lives and impossible traffic congestion that occurs regularly, the mayor of Rio de Janeiro asked IBM to help him create a central operations center that can monitor the real-time pulse of the city and make adjustments accordingly. Every city agency has a representative 24/7 in this space, so they can respond directly to what they learn. Operations centers such as this are increasingly common and the hub of an urban management infrastructure. They deal with water, energy, mobility, and communications. They have four components: sensors set in the environment, data that's collected from the environment, predictive models that predict what's about to occur and allow the city to respond accordingly, and displays, not only for these kinds of communication centers, but displays for the ordinary members of the public. Human intelligence, of course, is a critical part of the system. Sensors are essential to monitor continuously what is happening in the city. We can monitor patterns of human behavior, traffic flows, temperatures, air quality, energy usage, and dozens of other things. Of course, making sense of the data becomes the essential task. This map shows the distribution of sensors in central Barcelona. They are ubiquitous, and if you look closely, there are of several types shown in yellow, red, blue, and green. Humans and their devices, including cell phones and Wi-Fi-enabled computers, are another valued part of the system of sensing what is occurring in the city. For example, they're the first line of incident reporting. Barcelona, among other cities, has created hundreds of hotspots throughout the city. This map shows how they cluster. A lot of the use of intelligent systems has been for perfectly mundane activities like adjusting signal timing on roadways to reflect real-time levels of traffic. It's not trivial, of course, and especially in congested cities, but a lot easier to do than other forms of intelligence. Coupled with new roadway systems, traffic flows can be diverted. Real-time conditions such as heavy pedestrian flows can be figured into the equation. Traffic operations centers are also common in cities and allow roadways to be used efficiently, especially when parts of the system are under repair or experiencing breakdowns or incidents. Other sensors inform the sanitation department when garbage needs to be picked up, which optimizes the use of their vehicles. A number of information technology firms, including Siemens, IBM, Hitachi, Cisco, and Toshiba, have made efforts to put all systems together into a comprehensive urban management system. They serve not only the city's operating requirements, but the information needs of city residents. They offer online education support. They offer integrated systems for health and welfare. They supply high-speed internet to every home and every workstation. Cisco collaborated with the developers of Dusongdo to create the infrastructure for intelligent systems. The new town is located near Incheon Airport in Seoul, Korea. As a city, New Songdo is well designed. It's done by KPF, but doesn't look a lot different than other new towns in recent years. It employs small blocks to encourage innovation and development and encourage walking. It is a high-density center and generous parks and recreation areas. Intelligent systems that make the city perform better haven't led to a fundamental rethinking of the urban design of the city. Traffic flows smoothly, and the streetscape is nicely designed, but people in New Songdo pretty much live as they would elsewhere. Many countries in the world see the design and construction of an intelligent city as a way to make a technological leap and build an environment that would be attractive for international investment. They also see it as a way to stem the brain drain from their societies and give opportunities to graduates of their universities. One of the most unlikely of such projects is in Kenya. 60 kilometers from Nairobi, plans have been made for the Konza Technology City. It is worth remembering that Nairobi is the home for one of the largest slum settlements in the world, Kibera. This view shows the arrival point dominated by a large exposition center seen as a techno hub for East Africa. The New York firm Shop Architects did the plans. The plan for Konza Techno City consists of a series of high-tech ribbons of development provided with intelligent infrastructure. It will create the framework for neighborhoods that will gradually develop their own character. Transportation and open spaces along with high-density development occupy the ribbons. One of the ribbons serves as the core of the office district. Like New Songdo, it looks pretty conventional, even if it is wired and laced with intelligent infrastructure. And the generator of economic activity is seen as the Technology and Life Sciences District, which would house advanced laboratories and manufacturing businesses. The new technology hub in Portugal, called Plan IT Valley, has adopted a linear urban form, hoping to concentrate broadband and advanced infrastructure along a mass transit line. A series of neighborhood cells, each hexagonal in shape, grow organically out from the spine. Now, urban designers have been fascinated by hexagonal shapes for several centuries. The hexagon has the maximum perimeter to area ratio of any packing form. That's why it is an advantage, but what advantage is not really clear, and designers from antiquity to Frank Lloyd Wright have latched onto the hexagon as a basic module. While Plan IT Valley looks a little less like New York, it also appears to be searching for the forms that are appropriate to an intelligent city. The idea of creating buildings that communicate through digital facades seems to have captured their imagination. And the real innovation at Plan IT, however, is the systems that serve the city. Here's a diagram of the energy production and management system based on mixing locally and centrally generated power and heat, phased to match the profile of needs in the community. For all the variety of building forms suggested for Plan IT Valley, the central ideas are top-down intelligent systems. If you are struck by the juxtaposition of these 60-story buildings in a sea of lower structures, you will be even more surprised to learn that they are the result of a bottom-up process of intelligent development. This is Bogota, Colombia, a city which saw almost no development for 40 years because no banks or investors considered it safe enough to make long-term commitments while there was unrest and uncertainty in the country. With huge pent-up demand, crowdsourcing became the way to raise the capital that was needed for development. A group, led by Prodigy Networks, lined up over 3,000 investors who became shareholders in this building, which is the largest crowdsourced project in the world. Thousands more want to invest in other projects, and there's a need to gain a consensus on what and where these should be built. Prodigy Networks has initiated a crowdsourced planning project for central Bogota called My Ideal City. It has several components. One is an interactive website where residents can submit ideas and react to ideas offered by experts. They can use their smartphones or computers if they have access to them. This is the homepage of the MIC project. In the bottom right corner, there's an advertisement for a radio call-in program where the ideas harvested for the web each week are discussed further. So the dialogue is both real and virtual. Of course, for most residents, the language is Spanish, but the instant translation into English allows people to contribute from any place in the world. Every day there are questions posed and responses are cataloged. Where there are an accumulation of responses, these are elevated to questions that are put to experts so their advice can be added into the mix. One of the liveliest debates is centered on the value or not of graffiti in the city that residents love to hate. But a rich mixture of wall murals surfaced, many of which were new to those who had visited the website. Should they be allowed or encouraged or discouraged? Where are they appropriate? Where not? Why? The debate has much to do about the visual character of Bogota in the future as about graffiti or wall murals. Finally, we will end with a hint of how intelligence added to both machines in the city and the surfaces of the city could change the character and potentials of life in the city. This is the Bjork-Ingalls Group, BIG for short, proposal made to the BMW competition on city futures. It explores the possibilities that driverless cars, surely on the horizon over the next 10 years, coupled with intelligent digital pavements, could open up. The intelligence resides both in the vehicle and in the environment through sensors and illumination. Smart streets allow the public space of city to be used for varying uses over the course of the day and the night as needs demand. No more fixed curbs. The city becomes plastic. Automatically piloted vehicles telegraph their movements ahead, and these are forecast in the pavement. A pedestrian creates an area of influence, a safe zone that no vehicle can enter. The vehicle's route is adjusted to account for people. People adjust to avoid those places where the movements of the vehicle have been telegraphed. People are now free to wander at will across spaces previously dedicated to cars, but cars can also share the spaces with no danger to pedestrians. Even public events, as this big concert at Potsdamer Platz, can occur without disrupting the flow of vehicles. Every vehicle and every pedestrian has a custom tailored place in the environment. This is a true bottom-up intelligence applied to the city.
So this brave new world of electronic networks is something many of us couldn't have even contemplated even 2 decades ago. And we can only see a sketchy outline of what the future holds. I think every technological leap has at least 2 stages. First, we take new technology and apply them to what we currently do. We don't reinvent things, we just make them more efficient. And then, in the second stage of the revolution, we take the potentials of the new technologies and we reinvent the tasks that we're doing. We're still in the first stage of this revolution that's being brought about by electronic networks. Let me give you an example. With new data and networks, we can now optimize the routes that buses take in the city, make them run more efficiently, adapt to changing demands, deal with traffic congestion and reroute buses a little bit if it's necessary. But that's really just changing things at the margin. Soon we'll be able to contemplate much more radical kinds of changes. Why do we need fixed bus routes at all? Why do we need big buses of the kind that we're running today? Couldn't they be smaller or even larger if they're moving lots of people from one place to another place? Why do we need drivers in buses? And so on. So we could imagine a transportation network that's integral to the communications networks that we have, and that really changes the reality of how we operate in cities. Electronic networks offer the potential to design cities we've never seen. And in the next session, we're going to turn this question around. Instead of asking, how will a city be different as a result of these potentials of being able to communicate, we're going to ask, what do we need face-to-face communication for? Is there still a role for face-to-face communication in cities? So please join me in exploring that subject.